Welcome back to Pop Tabs, keeping tabs on all your pop culture news. I'm your host, Matthew Yapp, and joining me today is...
Isabella Torres.
And...
Shwetha Sundarrajan.
I'm so happy you guys are here. You know what I'm really not happy about, though? J.K. Rowling. She did it again. She did it again. So, what we mean here is there's a new Fantastic Beasts trailer, and it looks pretty cool, but some people aren't crazy thrilled about it. And one of the biggest reasons for that is we got a bit of a blast from the past with, spoiler alert, Nagini, the snake from the Harry Potter movies. She's here, but she's a human and Asian, which brought up some really weird things, which it's cool, representation all, we love it. But some people are complaining that Nagini, who is quite literally a servant to Voldemort, is one of two Asian characters, both of which have been very submissive, very stereotypical, and the other Asian character's name was Chao Chang, which I think is really worth noting. Yeah. So yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on this?
It's just, my problem is the only Asian characters in the entire series have just been fetishes. Yeah. For white men, because if you think about it, Cho Chang was basically like an Asian fetish for Harry Potter. Yeah. And now we have Nagini, and she's basically like a fetish for Voldemort. And like the same goes with the two Indian characters, Padma and Parvati. Like they're just basically dates for like Harry and Ron. Yeah,
I think it is worth stating that 3 out of those 4 Asian characters were all love interests to all the white dudes in the franchise. Yeah. Ciao to both Cedric and Harry.
I'm not gonna sit here like I know a lot about Harry Potter, because I really don't. I know, blasphemous. I'm not the biggest fan, but I can understand how this can upset a lot of fans, but coming from my perspective, I don't see it being that big a deal because I don't know the context that well. Yeah. But I remember reading something about a tweet that Miss Rowling herself put out defending this decision, saying that the Nagini is like, I think an Indonesian like creature.
The Naga, which is what the name's based off of.
Yeah, and like from that, I don't know, it sounds like she's just trying to cover up her tracks. Yeah. It's weird, but hearing the fetish thing, ugh.
Yeah. And I agree that if it was like, it made sense because like, oh, it's an Indonesian story. But it's not actually. It's not. J.K. Rowling said it was, and she may have thought it was, but the Naga is actually an Indian folk tale. And so for them to be like, oh no, it's chill, it's Indonesian, when it's actually Indian is kind of ignorant.
It's honestly just really, like, I was really confused when I was reading when I was reading about this, because she was like, oh yeah, Nagas, and I was like, wait. I've heard stories about like Naga people, because like Nagas are basically like half human and half cobra, and they're kind of like in Indian mythology they're like associated with like water bodies, and like they're guardians of treasure. So to say that they're like Indonesian, and yes, Indonesian culture and like mythology does take a little bit from like Hindu mythology and like Indian culture, but like that's what all cultures do, like they take bits and pieces from other cultures. But to say like outright that like it's Indonesian, I'm like, no, it's not.
And for that to be your sole reason to cast her as an Asian woman, I honestly think J.K. Rowling would have been better off had she just been like, oh no, I just wanted more diverse characters, so I made her Asian. Yeah. Still wouldn't have been super happy about the fact that she's like a submissive slave girl, but you know,
it's
what
like
do you do?
Representation for brownie points at that point.
Yeah.
I know.
But that being said, do you guys think it's inherently offensive, or do you think that it was just kind of like a misplay?
Offensive, I feel, is kind of a strong term in this regard, but at the same time, again, I don't know the context of that. I didn't know a lot about the Naga itself either, so this is coming from a rather ignorant point of view from me. I feel like it's not, but I feel like the subservient part does play into Asian stereotypes very much, especially more towards like the Japanese, Korean, Chinese type of people.
Like, we're not your fetish.
Right.
That's why, for example, in Wreck-It Ralph, there was like Mulan was in there, and a lot of people like that because they showed Mulan as like a really chill Asian woman, which was like,
they showed her as a person.
Right. Like it's like Asian people are like just normal regular people. We're not like fetishes. We're not like weird like dragon morphing snake creatures. Like we're just normal chill people. Like just show us like that. Don't fuck it up, man.
Yeah. But the kind of an issue I see with it, because I love Harry Potter so much. Like, Harry Potter is one of my favorite franchises, but it's not the first time that J.K. Rowling has kind of been like doing representation in a weird way. Like, basically after the entire franchise was over, she came out and she's like, oh, by the way, Dumbledore is gay, just so you know. We're not going to mention it all. And when it comes up, when he comes back in later movies, we're still not going to mention it. And so she does things like that. She randomly one time she tweeted out, she's like, oh, there's Jewish people at Hogwarts. There was one in Hufflepuff. Like, she just throws in random facts that aren't really representation. It just seems like she's trying to be like, look, guys, I'm diverse. Like, look how good I did. Like,
I understand that J.K. Rowling has, like, really good, like, she plans out her stories, like, super well.
She does.
Like,
things come back
like
really well.
Intricacies and stuff. But, like, in terms of diversity, which is something that's so important in our culture right now, she's just, like, she's so like scrambled on that right now. I'm like, get it together. Like, you planned out your stories so well. Like, the least you could do when diversity is such an important aspect in this now is add diversity in your stories and in your writing. Like, it's not that hard.
Well, that kind of plays into another question I had, which is, what point, because, you know, she was trying to do representation, and people always call for representation, but now that we got some, they're not happy about it. So what makes a difference between good representation casting and bad representation casting?
I think it really comes down to just treating different ethnicities and people as just people and not novelties and fetish, like you say. And I agree with that a lot, that they are fetishized a lot, and it's very irritating. And if we just treat them like regular people, like, I feel like this whole idea of representation being the biggest thing in the world ever would go away, and it would just be normalized. But it's gonna take a long time to do that, if it will happen.
Oh, yeah.
Pop culture, yay.
Yay. I am kind of the belief that, like, maybe if we did it where, you know, the reason we cast an Asian character isn't because she's some snake lady who comes from Asian folktale. If we just cast an Asian actor to play any role. What they did with another character that was revealed in the trailer, she's a black woman. She is, oh, I'm not going to think of her name now.
Letta Lestrange.
Yes, Letta Lestrange. And so she is just black. Her character's not defined by that. It's not anything crazy. And it's just they happen to cast a black woman, which I think is that's the proper step towards diversity.
Yeah.
Which, you know, it's always good, definitely if they are meant to be Asian characters, to cast an Asian person.
Yeah.
But if it can just kind of be any race, if you want to go for a minority, that's super good. I think that's the better way to do diversity, in my opinion.
I mean, I give Rowling like good brownie points because when the Cursed Child play came out, the actress that played Hermione was black.
Yeah.
And so Rowling, like, she put out a statement. She was like, yeah, it doesn't matter because, like, I never specified that, like, Hermione was white or she was like,
white in the movies, but, you know, that doesn't mean she has to
But
be
yeah,
white.
because, like, in the books it was like Hermione has like bushy hair, and so, like, it never said that she was white.
Yeah.
So I give her brownie points for that, but, like, now she's just, like you said, she's just throwing out diversity for brownie points.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
It just leaves a bad taste in people's mouths.
A little bit.
yeah.
Now, if you thought that's all the reason we were mad about the trailer, boy, were you wrong, because there's even more things wrong with it. Another one being that we saw Hogwarts, we saw the Defense Against the Dark Arts classroom, we saw Dumbledore, we saw a lot of nostalgic things that harken back to the original Harry Potter series. And so some people are saying that they're leaning on this like a crutch, and that they're just doing kind of like a nostalgia grab to get people interested because the plot's not actually that cool. So, do you guys think that's what they're going for here?
I don't know. It's nostalgia is a good marketing factor, and it works a lot. Just look at Disney and all these remakes happening.
Yeah.
It gets the butts in the seats, and it can be a lot. It can be as distracting as I would say as like product placement. I feel like it could get that point of distraction, and I feel like in this trailer it did. Me not even watching a lot of Harry Potter movies, maybe like one or two, even I recognized some things. I was like, is that like a bit of pandering? So I think in this case, I think it's kind of a crutch.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, like, a trailer doesn't show like everything in a movie,
That's
for
a good
example.
point.
So, like, maybe like the very few scenes that were like put into the trailer may be like only a fraction of the movie, because in the trailer there's like 2 or 3 like Hogwarts scenes, which may give the impression that like a lot of this was like set into Hogwarts, when actually it wasn't really set that much into Hogwarts.
Which, I mean, for a trailer, it would make sense that like the
Yeah.
part that would like entice people would be the part you show in a trailer.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, like, I guess we'll only know if we go and watch the movie. So.
Fair. Which I will be. I do kind of think they're leaning on a crutch of nostalgia because, like, the first Fantastic Beast wasn't the most popular. People who saw it were just kind of bored by it.
Yeah.
I really liked it. I had a good time. But I'm very blind to, like, if it's a Harry Potter, I'm going to love it. I even enjoyed, like, part 1 of Deathly Hallows, which is a choice. Yeah.
I actually did see the Fantastic Beasts, and I thought the imagery was great.
Oh yeah,
The
really
imagery was
pretty.
fantastic.
Super pretty movie.
Yeah, very nice to look at.
And so I think what they're kind of doing is being like, hey, look how much, you remember how much you love Hogwarts
Yeah.
and how much you love Harry Potter? Come see this movie, please.
That's
please.
what I got too.
We already paid the actors.
Yeah.
And so I'm a little worried about that. But how much, in when the movie comes out, but just in general, do you think how much nostalgia belongs in a movie? Does it belong in a movie at all? How much is too much? When does it become just like a hindrance, like product placement? What are your thoughts on that?
It's hard to say, because like paying homage to something, a past work that you've done, is always nice, and it's very nice for older fans. But there's a part where it becomes kind of like patronizing in a way.
Yeah.
Like the example I think of is like Wreck-It Ralph and the thing with all the princesses. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they're like, oh, did a big man save you? Were you poisoned? It's just like, we get it. Those movies happened.
Yeah.
But I think there is a place for nostalgia, but like maybe like 2%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, you go.
No, I'm just like you said, there has to be like a balance between the two. Cause I mean, like, yes, there are people with like die hard, like they're like Harry Potter all the way, and maybe the reason they go watch the film is just to see like, cause people can't let characters go.
Yeah.
I will never let go of Harry Potter.
Exactly. So I mean, maybe to get like the viewers, it's like, yeah, because introducing new characters, like you still hold on to the old characters.
Definitely.
So you have to get like that kind of connection. But like if it's too much, it's just I'm gonna be like, this is just Harry Potter all over again, like, which I love, but I mean,
No, do Harry Potter all over again. Do it. Just do it.
It's like at that point it becomes very gimmicky.
exactly, yeah.
No, I think I'm with you where like a 1 or 2% I could do with like one nostalgic reference per movie. I think once you start
Same
going
here.
past there, I'm just like, oh yeah, I saw
Like,
that
I get
movie.
it. I get it.
Like,
Yeah.
I sure saw it. One that kind of like for me recently was Ready Player One. All that movie was they were like, hey, remember this movie you liked from the 80s? Hey, do you remember that other movie you liked from the 80s? Do you remember that 5th movie you liked from the 80s? And like, I remember watching it and being like, okay, well, it's kind of, I was like, I don't really care about the plot at all. It's cool that the Iron Giant's here, I guess, but like, the plot's super boring. So yeah, I think you gotta be cautious with not oversaturating. But wait, there's a third thing we're mad about with Harry Potter. Johnny Depp, he beat up his wife essentially. And so that was established, and this has been filmed after those court cases. And so since this is the first time we saw him, some people are very angry that he has made the trailer. What are your guys' thoughts on this? Is it something that, since he was already featured in the first movie, we can't replace him now? Would you have rather seen him replaced? What are your thoughts on it?
No, nobody wants to be tied to a wife beater. No one wants to do that. No. So I feel like it really would have been in the studio's best interest to have changed that. And it's just, it's not kosher, man. It's just like,
it's really not.
And Johnny Depp, I feel like he is definitely not the actor he used to be. And I just don't think, I think they could have done better. They could have done better.
Yeah.
Right, and like J.K. Rowling is such, like, she's a champion for like women's rights and so many other causes. She's like such a progressive lady that in her choice of like casting Johnny Depp is just completely going against her word as like being a feminist, being like a champion of women. Why are you and the thing is, like, you can very well have casted someone else as Grindelwald.
Grindelwald.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, okay, think about it. He looks like he's having a lot of prosthetics on.
He does. It's quite the transformation, which is kind of Johnny Depp's thing, is he makes huge transformations.
But the thing is, like, you can make anyone look similar to that because, okay, for example, in Sense8, the character of Capheus like changes, like the actor literally changes, like from season 1 to season 2. But it's like the same name, same character, same everything. But like,
and I'll say it's not unheard of.
It's not
just like do a complete shift. Also, Johnny Depp was only in one scene of the first Fantastic Beasts movie. So like, if we came to the second one, I don't think anyone would be like, wasn't that guy Johnny Depp last time? I don't think people would be pressed. Also, if when you're filming a thing, you have to just be like, hey, we got a new actor because this guy beat up his wife.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be mad about it.
Me either. Like, it's just the right thing to do, I think.
I mean, there's been reports of like Johnny Depp just being like really not cooperative on set.
Yeah.
Like he comes up late, he like shows up late, he's just like a hindrance to everyone else on set. Cause like if it's a movie, you gotta like go, you gotta work with crew set. Like if you're the one person like being a hindrance, like why are you even on the set? I mean, and there's articles and stuff about this. Like why don't you do your research about this man before you cast him in your movie?
Because he was in Pirates of the Caribbean, man, star power.
God.
Yeah, but clearly there's a lot wrong with that trailer, but you know what there's a lot wrong with too? Your phone. This is gonna kill you, kids. But I don't care, it's so beautiful.
It's entertaining.
Yes, according to PC Magazine, there's a recent increase in phone addiction amongst teens that's changing the way they act. This has been backed up by a lot of doctors' research. So it's definitely changing the way people act, but whether or not it's an addiction is a bit of a debate. So screen addiction is basically just being addicted to your phone, laptops, all those things. You can't escape from it. Do you guys believe that this is a real addiction?
I heavily lean on the side that says yes. And I personally say that because of my sister, and she cannot live without her phone.
Okay.
Like, we're at a restaurant, and she can't be like 2 minutes without it, like constantly. Just that. So I think that it is an addiction, but it's so hard to say. It's like addiction's a very harsh word.
It is.
It's a very harsh word, but like, I want to say yes. I want to say yes.
You want to say yes. Okay.
I feel like for us, like the millennial generation, we're like kind of on this cusp of like not really, kind of, you know?
Yeah.
But with Gen Z and like the generations after Gen Z, like it's truly an addiction because I have a little cousin and she will not eat like if her tablet thing isn't playing like a TV show, like her child TV shows, like, and it's not just my cousin, it's like so many of like
people,
it's a lot
That's
of
my
like
nephews.
it's a lot of like nieces, nephews, like friends, like children and stuff. Like they won't eat, they won't do any, like parents have to bribe their children with like screen time just to get them to do something.
Right.
Which is kind of sad.
Yeah.
And
It is.
that I would term is like an addiction because if it starts early, it's just only gonna get worse.
See, I don't really feel like it's an addiction. I think it's something people like a lot, which I think the issue that we run into is I don't remember a time where like TVs and laptops and like phones weren't really a thing. Like it's just been a part of our lives. And so I don't think it's an addiction. I think it's just incorporated into our lives. Like you wouldn't say running water is like an addiction, but I'm sure without it, you would probably be really pissed off and you'd also probably change the way you act. So like, I just think it's become just like a facet in our lives. Whereas addiction, I mean, I have like few family members who are addicted to drugs and the way they act, what they're willing to like give up, they are willing to like do anything and hurt anyone to get drugs, and it ruins their lives in a way that I don't see phones doing. Like, I don't know, maybe I've never tried to see someone like cut cold turkey away from their phone. I'll admit, if you take away my phone, I get a little antsy, but I don't know if I'd say addicted.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I think it just depends on the person, but like that being said, that's like saying like, oh yeah, I'm an alcoholic and like alcohol has been around my life like all the time.
That's
and
a
like
good point.
and now yay, I'm like addicted to it because it's just been there. Like I'm playing devil's advocate here.
No.
But I mean, like maybe like for some people, like me for example, I feel like I can distinct between like my phone time and like other stuff. You know, but like maybe that's not the case for other people.
That's actually very fair. Yeah.
It's a person by person basis, honestly.
Really is.
Right. I'm saying because I know I can like I usually whenever I'm like at a meal I try to like sit through the meal without like being on my phone or whatever. But you're completely right that some people literally like if their phone vibrates they're like I have to take this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start doing pop tabs with my phone out. Like just scroll through Twitter. Like, yeah. What do you think? No, that's super cool. Yeah. super great.
Yeah.
But
That'd be great.
something of note is the fact that doctors are now reporting that it creates very, very big health risks. This leads to obesity rates rising, eyesight issues, and also insomnia, which insomnia in itself leads into a ton of other problems.
Yes. Right.
And so if doctors are documenting the fact that phones are causing a huge health problem, why do you think we as a society are not taking that more seriously?
I think I try to look at it as like sugar addiction. That's very real.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely real. So like sugar is such a prominent thing, and there's no way you can actually avoid it. And with these growing technological times, us depending more and more on screens for jobs and everything from learning, I think it's only going to get worse, and it's just an everyday thing at this point.
Yeah.
Because it is. They're just not going to do anything about it because it's just so prominent, and it's such a vast problem, and it's up for debate.
Yeah.
It's up for debate.
If you think about it, like the whole sugar thing, it took so much, like it took such a big push to get sugar, like Super Size Me, you know, like that.
Yeah,
whole,
the documentary.
That like there's so much push to kind of get like sugar and sodium levels down in like fast foods, you know.
Well, even just to get it like marked as like an unhealthy thing.
Exactly.
It was a huge fight.
But think about like the fight it would take to kind of to pass a law to like limit like phone and screen usage, because like it's not just like leisure time that we use our phones for. Like I have classes that are like you need to like have your phone, like you need to download this app for this class.
I spend a good 30 hours a week doing stuff for Byte, and that's a short little, I wish it was only 30 hours. It's more. But either way, I spend a good chunk of time doing stuff for Byte, and almost everything I do is connected to a laptop or a phone.
Exactly.
Like I can't leave my phone because as soon as I do, someone messages me about a meeting or something we have to do for Byte.
Exactly. So it's not just leisure time. It's also
business time.
It's also business. And the thing with like teens is like looking at your phone screen reduces your amount of sleep because the blue light and stuff messes with your sleep time. But the thing is, like the way like kids socialize right now is through text. Yeah. There's not really like face-to-face conversation. So like you have homework. Homework takes you until like 12, right? Yeah. But you need to socialize. You don't get to socialize in school other than lunch.
Right.
The only way you socialize is through text. So like you're on your phone texting, socializing, doing that thing that teenagers need. That takes about another 2 hours. You go to sleep at 2 a.m. You wake up at 6 a.m. Whole cycle.
Do it all again.
Well, going off that, even like as adults, I feel like we've run into a similar issue where you have class and work and Byte, because God, I can't leave this place. And so you don't really have time, like I don't have time to talk to people. And so at the end of the night at 2 a.m. I'm like, haha, did you see this meme? Like,
yeah, it's like a whole different kind of brand of literacy that's coming up with this kind of thing. But the whole entire like health problems, I don't think it leads to obesity, if I'm to be honest. Like obesity is such a multifaceted beast of its own.
Yeah.
But sleep problems and eye strain, definitely. Like in my glasses, I have a special lens for looking at a screen all day.
Right.
So I don't know. It's this as well as a multifaceted beast that it's going to take a lot of work to cut down.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if it necessarily is like a cause of all these issues themselves. I think it's kind of like you said, that it causes like insomnia and things like that lead to more health problems.
Yes. Yeah.
I think kind of unfortunately one of the reasons it's like big is that we have such an issue with money kind of dictating our health in America, and phones and technology is like such a moneymaker. No one's going to like come at Apple and be like, you have to fix your phones, because Apple's making billions, man.
Seriously.
Like, they don't care.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate.
That's how they're designed anyway.
People say like technology is the reason why kids don't go outside. Well, but if you think about it, like Pokemon Go,
they went outside.
Made kids go outside. So if
world peace.
yeah, exactly. Like in my neighborhood, I saw like kids walking around, like I mean with their phones, but I mean you can't get away from technology. No. But like if you want to get kids like outside and active, just do it through technology.
Right.
Yeah.
Just work your way around the problem. You can't get rid of the problem.
I once walked for 4 miles because I was trying to hatch like a bunch of eggs in Pokemon Go.
That's rad.
Which I did, and now I have a shiny Ninetales, and that's what's important.
Damn, that's what's awesome.
So yeah, it can take you outside.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
it can be very beneficial.
So at what point do you think should the government, if at all, step in to kind of regulate, like, do companies have to make a push towards like healthy technology, or is this just one that's left up to free will? Because that's kind of like even with drugs, like yes, companies, you can sell cigarettes, but no, you can't advertise them to children.
Yeah, like what's up with that?
And so what should the government do, again, if anything, to handle this?
It's hard. Like, I want to say they should do something, but to what that is, I have no idea.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I feel like we shouldn't be so dependent on technology, and we should appreciate like analog and archaic ways of writing things down and just being with people.
Archaic is what we just described analog. Anyways.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
It's old-fashioned, man. Who writes?
Who writes anymore?
I never learned.
Not me, for
feel
sure.
like-
No.
Something definitely should be done. I just don't know what. You know,
Yeah.
it's such a big issue.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
I don't feel like this is like a government thing, because like the government's already got like problems it needs to deal with.
I have
True
bigger
that.
issues with the government than
Then
the gun
phones.
regulation.
I feel like this is just like something.
Phone regulation, not gun regulation.
Oops.
My bad.
Oops.
Have lonely and slip.
I feel like it's just something that people should manage. Like, it's a personal choice. Like, okay, if you feel like you're being sucked into your phone, you're not like getting the enjoyment like that life gives you, well, make that personal choice.
Yeah.
True.
To like kind of get out of that. It's a personal choice. And for parents as well, like if you're rewarding your kids with screen time and then you lament about how your kids aren't like going outside
And how they're overweight. Reward them with a baseball next time.
Yeah,
Right.
whose fault is that, huh? Yours.
That is true.
Listen, I didn't play outside as a kid. I didn't like it. It was hot out there, and there were bugs. I'm aware of that. Did my parents constantly force me outside? Yeah, and I really
Yeah.
didn't care for that either. Will I probably force my kid outside? No, because I'm going to be alone for a really long time and not have kids. That's sad. But you get the point.
That was
But no,
really
I do. I
depressing.
think that it's just kind of a personal choice. Because am I aware that my phone keeps me up very late at night? Yes. Could I change that? Yes. Am I going to? No, and that's my bad. Like, genuinely.
Yeah.
If I could add something, I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
If I could add something, it's like I think we also need to keep in mind that these things are specifically made to be addicting.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, you know, it is a personal choice, but like there's chemistry up in this brain, you know,
Yeah.
that makes you want this, and
That's
like
true.
you can fight as hard as you want, but like addiction, if you can call this that and all that, it takes a process of time that maybe people can't afford to break away from.
I think it's kind of the same argument if we were just like, oh, well, yeah, if you want to stop like smoking, just stop, you know?
Right. It's like, see, I think it's more than a personal choice. I think it's heavier than that.
That's fair. But what does the government do? We don't know. We're not paid for that, but there are people who are. And you know what else people are doing?
Oh, I don't want to
People are looking at some really weird stuff on the internet, guys.
Oh boy.
I'm gonna have to pop up a quick little content warning. We're going to be talking about very sexual things and porn in general. So it's going to get a little scandalous, so if you'd like to stop now, feel free. We'd love having you here. But if not, we're going to jump straight into it. Bowsette.
Oh boy.
So you guys know Bowser and that like sweet, happy, wholesome video game like with Mario in them, yeah, you know, all those good things. Well, they released a new trailer for a new Mario game which featured a new character power-up called Peachette. And it was basically you can play as Toadette and she can get a little crown that'll make her turn into Princess Peach. Really cute, very adorable.
Super cute.
But people took it in a very different direction. It all started with a comic that featured Bowser putting on the little power-up crown, and instead of turning into like a cute Peach thing like they were supposed to, someone drew, what if he turned into like a weird, sexy human Bowser hybrid?
Like spiky turtle.
Yeah, spiky turtle, sexy Peach, and it was really, really uncomfortable. But in just that short amount of time, in about 3 days, over 1 million tweets featuring Bowsette, a lot of them
Holy.
being porn, did come out, and Bowsette was trending. People were super into this. Everyone was talking about it. It kind of blew up the internet.
Yes, it did.
So, before we get into how Nintendo's about to handle this and what bigger implications it has, why do you think it got so popular? Because it's a weird one to get popular.
Really is. Like, what the hell, man? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not really big into the video game scene, but like you guys were talking about Bowsette, and I'm like, okay, I played Nintendo Mario stuff. Like, what's Bowsette? So I go on my laptop. I'm like, Bowsette, I regret everything. I can't. Like, what is this? Like, I've seen some like real weird, like real fucked up shit, but like Bowsette is up there, man.
It's a weird one.
What's up with this, man?
It's very odd when like a childhood icon
Yeah.
becomes like a pornographic image. You know, that's an odd one. I think the reason it got so popular is because it is a little bit funny. Like, if we're being honest.
Yeah, it is.
Like, the idea of, it's like a meme almost, like the idea of, like, Bowser, this weird, scary turtle thing, becoming, like, a sexy woman. It's a bit of a joke. Like, and so I think part of it was just people being, like, funny about it. I think another big part of it was people like taboo things when it comes to porn. And there's something very taboo about an evil turtle becoming a sexy woman you want to have sleep with.
Yeah, especially with such a known character as Bowser and Mario. That's what I think plays into it too, is just how well known and how long these characters have been around.
Yeah.
And like, I'm pretty sure it's no surprise that like a lot of people maybe had a thing for Peach. I don't know, maybe.
I'm sure.
She's cute, but like, and then seeing this rendition of her, it's Peach, but seeing this rendition of her and having fun with that and having artists like take a shot at it. I don't know.
They sure took a shot.
Yeah, they did. Oh god, I can't go on Tumblr without seeing this stuff.
Seriously, I couldn't escape. Like, the reason I chose this story is because I couldn't go on any form of social media and not see it.
Right. Oh, God.
Unless you go on, like, your mom's Facebook. I hope my mom's timeline does not have any Bowser porn. I really hope not.
You gotta go on LinkedIn to not see any of that stuff, honestly.
Wouldn't that be
I feel like if you've seen the picture of Bowsette, it's basically, she's got like a spiky chain
it's a
collar,
choker,
a choker thing, and I feel like that's very reminiscent of like the BDSM.
It is. It's Peach and bondage gear, essentially.
Yeah.
Basically, and I feel like that's the thing that like turns people on. So, which is really fucked up, but like, but I mean, that's just the way it is.
It really do be like that sometimes.
They really do.
Put that on the screen right here.
But so the question now is, how is Nintendo meant to handle this? Because I'm sure Nintendo like marketers were probably pretty excited. They were like, oh good, like our characters are trending and we're #1 on Twitter right now. I wonder why. And then when they saw, I'm sure it was a bit of a take back.
Yeah.
But how do you think companies are supposed to handle kind of scandalous marketing like this? Should Bowsette be featured in a game in a safe for work version in the future? Should they ignore it completely? What do you think would be the best course of action for Nintendo?
I think them like maybe ever so slightly entertaining a portion of the fandom. Or, like, can you even say it's a fandom? I don't know. They should entertain like the safe for work version of this if they can, like take the cute art and
because
like,
there are just some pictures of like it's essentially just Peach in a black dress now. That would just be considered like a very safe work cute version.
And it's cute and it's like it's definitely, I think this is definitely marketable and I think they should somehow use this, but only that portion. But at the same time, I can't understand, like, Nintendo's a very family-based thing, so I can understand how this would hurt them, but I think they can somehow make a profit off of this.
I'm sure they can.
Yes.
They probably can. I don't know, I agree with you. It's just, there's like a part of the internet that always takes everything good and just makes it...
Squash it.
Just makes it bad. And I feel like we just need to ignore that part of the internet. Like, let them be them. But I feel like, for sure, like, Nintendo very well could profit off this in a safe, family manner way. Because, like, think about it, because Toadette is, like, a good character, basically.
Cute.
They very much well as, like, do, like, a Bowser thing and, like, do, like, a dark Peach. Which would be, like, a great idea, like contrasting and, like, the storyline. I don't really know what the storyline is for this game.
Mario, it's a Mario game. There's not a lot of plot line.
But, I mean, I feel like it would just be, like, a good marketing scheme if you take it in the right direction, which is, like, it's, like, thin ice right here for Nintendo if they want to go ahead with it, but, like, I feel like Nintendo can pull it off.
I think probably the way they could go about it is, in I think it was Super Mario Bros. Wii U, there was like a little cat bell power up that you could become like a cat, and at the end of the game, Bowser got one of those cat bells, and so it became like a big like cat Bowser, and that's just like it was adorable.
That was the cutest thing.
Yeah, and so like they could go for something like that. I just wish they wouldn't. In my personal opinion, I think the best way to handle this is to ignore it entirely.
Just don't.
Just don't. Studio Ghibli is a really prominent anime studio, and all of their female characters always get hypersexualized, get put into porn, things like that.
Yeah.
And the way they kind of go about it is they're like, okay, we ignore that. We don't
Yeah.
recognize it. They don't play to the fanboys. I think Nintendo's probably best off with that because Nintendo's a family company
Yeah.
and they've always done very, very family-friendly games, especially with the Mario franchise. And so I think to not do a weird kind of transgender Bowser
Yeah.
sex thing is...
That's fair.
I'm so sad I have to say that. It's probably best just not to at all. I'm sure they probably could make some money, but money from a very different audience that I don't think they necessarily want to market toward.
Yeah, I think the most they could do is like maybe like the slightest Easter egg thing
Yeah.
in the background of the stage or something like that.
Maybe release like an amiibo.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. But something that did come up from all this, because like I mentioned, the whole transgender thing, a lot of people who were trans people specifically said that this is not an uncommon thing for them to see. A brand of porn known as futanari porn, which, weird that we have to talk about that, is basically porn that is a very feminine-looking woman who then has male genitalia.
Yeah.
It's a really, really popular thing. It's very popular in like animated porn specifically, but it does fall into just like regular porn as well. It's usually listed as she-male. It's really popular, and so a lot of people are saying that like this is not new to me, and I actually find this kind of offensive because if you're a trans woman or a trans man and you're seeing people sort of fetishize you, I can see how that'd be a little bit of weird. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think this falls into that category as kind of like transphobic, or do you think it's just porn?
I think that this can be offensive. I can understand why that is. Because I think it goes back to what you said too about people loving the taboo and seeing this group of people that, you know, feel this way and like look this way, fetishized and only fetishized most of the time, can get very irritating. But at the same time, I don't think it was bred from that. I don't think this was started from that. I think it was just started from something fun. Because if I'm right, I think Bowsette came from like a character, like a fan comic that someone did, and that was very innocent. I don't think anything transphobic came from that.
The comic itself was essentially like a joke comic.
Yeah. So like, I don't think that came from a place of transphobia, but I can understand why it's offensive for a lot of people.
Yeah,
I would agree with you as well. It's just maybe being fetishized is something that like we can tie back to like the whole Asian fetishization. It's just, I understand, but like, it was like a joking thing that was just turned into like this whole like really offensive thing. And that's the thing, something that's cute can always, there's like a fine line between it being cute and offensive. I feel like in this instant, it just went into offensive. But then that also brings up the question, like, what is offensive, what is not? Like, a person who's not transgender would be like, oh, that's not offensive at all. Like, this is totally fun, it's fun in games. But like with someone who's like struggling with their identity as like identifying as like a gender, that would kind of be confusing. Now it's like a video game character, like what does that mean for me? So it just, the line is very confusing.
See, I personally don't find it offensive. I'm also not transgender, and so kind of like you said, like I'm sure it's not a problem, but I was reading articles upon articles of people who are transgender who are like, I don't think, most of them agree that they don't think Bowsette itself was meant to be like a trans thing or like a thing, but it does open up the conversation of like, people don't ever accept me until they want to have sex with me. Which is just a really gross way to live, and it's very unfortunate that a lot of people do have to live like that. But what are your closing thoughts on this really strange topic and anything else we talked about today?
Well, on the bright side, at least a lot of it's kind of good art. You know? There's got some good artists out there.
There are good art in there.
You got some good artists working on this
stuff. And
stuff.
you know what? I guess, you know, if you, that's what does it for you. If that's your brand of porn, go for it, I guess. Just don't be transphobic.
I think it's just like, other than having really good art, it just opens up like an avenue of conversation that you can have, and like especially for like the trans community, because like trans community doesn't really get a lot of light.
No, they don't.
In terms of like in terms of like LGBTQ, they're kind of like this like shoved in the corner type of group, and like I feel like Bowsette just kind of opened up avenues for talking and like about trans issues. So it's good in a way, but
I guess my thoughts for everything is I'm gonna see Fantastic Beasts 2. I'm still gonna use my phone a bunch, and I'm not gonna look at Bowsette ever again. But that's been Pop Tabs. Thank you guys so much for joining me. We'll see you next time.
What?
Anyway.
Japan?
Oh, Japan.
Oh, Japan.
Why am I not even surprised?
Japan is a funny place, isn't it?
We all been new with Japan.
Oh.
They're wilding over there.